There is nothing more pathetic than a political hitman who suddenly decides to cry victim when someone finally punches back. Adam Schiff, the king of the Russia hoax, just tried to whine about decorum in a Senate hearing, and veteran Chuck Grassley handed him a brutal lesson in hypocrisy that he will never forget. Let's watch the full clip, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the advantages of being the junior-most member of the committee on our side of the aisle is you get to listen to everything that's gone on before you during the course of a hearing. And I want to add my voice to my colleagues who have raised the concern about what happened yesterday. I listened to my ranking member ask a legitimate oversight question about the legal basis for troops to be rappelling from a Black Hawk helicopter for a military-style assault on an apartment building in a major city, the zip tying of children. What was the legal basis for this? I heard my ranking member ask that very simple question, that completely appropriate question. If that's not an appropriate oversight question, I don't know what an appropriate oversight question is. And the response was not just to refuse to answer the question, but it was to attack the character of the ranking member and to insult him. And then when it was Senator Whitehouse's turn to ask a question, he asked a very legitimate oversight question about a FBI undercover operation in which reportedly $50,000 was paid to the White House border czar prior to him becoming the White House border czar, but with the expectation that he would be helpful in arranging contracts when he became the White House border czar. What happened to the money? A perfectly legitimate oversight question. And rather than answer that question in a closed investigation, not an open investigation, but a closed investigation, she simply attacked Senator Whitehouse personally. And I heard another one of my colleagues ask, what was the legal basis for blowing up ships in the Caribbean? Reportedly, the Justice Department wrote an opinion justifying blowing up ships in the Caribbean. A perfectly legitimate oversight question, and the response was another personal attack. These, what were apparently canned, written personal attacks in advance. I wouldn't bother with the attacks on me. I've grown all too accustomed to them for the last 8 years. But if members of this committee can't ask those serious questions and get serious answers, we can't do oversight. I'm new to this committee. I spent about a decade on the House Judiciary Committee. I never saw a hearing like this with a cabinet officer, and if I did and some Democratic cabinet officer were to personally attack each of my Republican colleagues, I would call for a stop to it. It would be disgraceful. And I understand the reluctance to criticize on your side of the aisle one of the Republican cabinet members. But if this becomes the template for future hearings, we won't be able to do any oversight, and things will just degenerate. These questions deserve answers. I would expect that if troops were rappelling from helicopters in any city, in any of your states, and hog-tying children, you would want to know the legal basis. And so would I. We are going to submit for the record in written form the questions that the Attorney General refused to answer. I would hope, Mr. Chairman, you would join us in submitting those questions. They will have a much better chance of being answered if you join us in submitting those questions. But I would hope also in the future that if a witness, rather than respond, simply attacks our members, that it be stopped. That the witness be instructed to either answer the question or to state why they're refusing to answer the question, but to refrain from personal attacks on the members of this committee. That would be my request. And Mr. Chairman, I'm really grateful to be on this committee. And I appreciate every interaction I've had with you. You have, in our personal interactions, always been eminently fair. If I didn't think that you were of that character, I wouldn't even raise this because there wouldn't be a point. But I would ask that we not have another hearing like that one, and that you join in our legitimate oversight requests. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thought that I set the decorum for a hearing, oversight hearing, when I said before we asked the director of the FBI any questions or any statements, that we should, both sides, treat each other with respect. And I even said to Patel, if you don't get a chance to answer your questions, I'll give you an opportunity after the senator's finished for a few minutes to respond whatever you didn't get a chance to say. And you know how that meeting turned out. And particularly from your side of the aisle, a lot of strong statements about the FBI director. Whether they were legitimate or not is beside the point. It didn't follow the decorum, and obviously the director of the FBI didn't follow the decorum. So I don't know what more I can do than plead with my people who are fellow senators to follow a certain decorum, and I assume it would be followed on the other side. I don't appreciate the insults that went to Democrat members, particularly where they were wrong, but after seeing how senators handled the FBI director, I guess I felt that just let the show go on the way the senators wanted to go on. And that's what developed as a result of it. That may be a weak excuse for what happened that day, but I thought things didn't work out the way I expected them to when the FBI director was here, and some of the people on your side of the aisle were some of the ones that were screaming and yelling and talking over the FBI director. Meeting adjourned.
I mean, honestly, the most amazing part is the beginning. The sheer audacity of it all. You know, these questions, they're purely for show. Nobody thinks these are serious oversight questions about, what was it, blowing up ships in the Caribbean. It's just so transparently a setup, pathetic attempt to create some kind of soundbite for CNN where they can say, Republicans refuse to answer questions about military assaults on cities. It's a game. It's always a game to them. And, you know, Pam Bondi, she refused to play. And that's what sparked this whole thing. She saw the trap for what it was and just refused to step in it. And that, to them, is the greatest crime of all. How dare you not participate in our little political theater? And then, of course, the pivot. The moment he realizes the ambush isn't working, he immediately plays the victim card. Suddenly, it's all about decorum and civility. He acts all shocked, just absolutely stunned that someone would have the nerve to punch back instead of just sitting there and taking it. It's incredible to watch, really. I mean, this is Adam Schiff, right? We're talking about the same Adam Schiff. The guy who spent, 4 years looking into every camera he could find to lie about having concrete evidence of Russia collusion. The architect of sham impeachments is suddenly concerned about Senate decorum. You can't make this stuff up. It's beyond parody at this point. This is their entire strategy. You know, it's the playbook. They get to be as vicious and as dishonest as they want. But the very second, a conservative decides to, stand their ground or use their own tactics against them, they clutch their pearls and run to the referee crying about the rules. It's a cowardly way to operate, and it's designed to disarm us. And what I love here is that Chuck Grassley, he just lets him. He just sits there patiently and lets Schiff go on this long, whiny, self-pitying rant. He lets him build this whole case for himself, knowing the whole time that he's got the receipt right there in his pocket. It's like watching a master chess player just letting his opponent make 5 stupid moves in a row before the final checkmate. Because Grassley's response, he bypassed making an argument entirely, didn't he? He didn't debate the points. He just held up a mirror. He basically said, you want to talk about decorum? Let's talk about what your side did last week. And that's it. Game over. There's no comeback to that. That's the whole rules for thee, but not for me thing in action. It's the rotten core of their entire ideology. They can scream, they can yell, they can interrupt, but you'd better be polite when you're being interrogated by them. It's fundamentally dishonest. And honestly, this is the kind of thing that gives me hope. Seeing a Republican leader finally just refuse to play the stupid game. Grassley didn't apologize. He didn't try to defend Bondi. He just changed the frame entirely and put it right back on them. He basically said, you guys set the new rules, so don't come crying to me when we decide to follow them too. You can kind of see Schiff just deflate, because what do you say? He was caught. His hypocrisy was laid bare for everyone to see. There's no response when someone calls your bluff so perfectly. It was a total and complete humiliation. And the implications here go so far beyond one hearing, though. This is about everything. This is the entire progressive strategy in a nutshell. Attack, smear, and then hide behind institutions and norms the moment you get any pushback. It's intellectually and morally bankrupt. What Grassley did here was so important. It was a message. It was a declaration that the days of the GOP being the stupid party, the party that brings a knife to a gunfight, might just be coming to an end. And when the playing field is actually level, when they can't rely on their dirty tricks, their arguments just completely collapse. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.